Hey, this is Nizam Dynasty. Please like, share, and subscribe. Be kind, helpful, and grateful. And buy yourself some silver, some platinum, and some crystallized osmium. Be back in 30 seconds after this commercial break. How's it going this afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you're at? Let me throw out the disclaimers here. Don't listen to me. Everything I say is to be taken as bullshit. This is for fun and not for profit or health. After saying all that BS, let me share a screen and see what the hell I started this for. Let's see, share screen. Oh, do. Okay, let's start with this one. Yep, I did the right one. Yay! All right, go full screen here. All right, this is what Google McGoogle says, because I've been watching Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia, and they're all looking like they want to break away from Canada. So I was like, what would happen to America's GDP if Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan joined the USA? And it stated, AI overview. If Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan were to join the USA, it would have several significant economic impacts on the US GDP, primarily by adding the economic output of these resource-rich and diverse provinces to the US economy. Increase in the GDP. A significant addition to the US GDP, the combined GDP of Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan would be added to the total US GDP, increasing the size and potentially solidifying its position as a global economic powerhouse. Boost in resource sectors. The U.S. would gain domestic access to vast reserves of oil, gas from Alberta and Saskatchewan, along with significant fisheries and mineral resources from British Columbia. Alberta and Saskatchewan are known for their strong oil and gas sectors, while British Columbia has a strong mining and resource-based industry. Expansion of agricultural production. The U.S. would also incorporate Canada's major grain production regions, leading to increased agricultural output and potential lower food prices due to the increased supply. Growth of other industries. British Columbia's economy, for example, is diversified and includes robust real estate, construction, and professional services sector, which would contribute to the U.S. economy. The potential economic shift and considerations. The changes in trade balance. The addition of these provinces would likely resolve some trade imbalances and potentially improve the overall U.S. balance of trade, which is our deficit. You know, that $36 trillion thing? Well, this would help resolve that. Resource management and energy security. The U.S. would gain greater energy security through access of Canada's significant energy resource reserves, which we want. And I already said America's going to be leading the world in energy, so we're most likely going to get them. Infrastructure and investment. Significant infrastructure development and investment would be required to integrate these provinces into the U.S. economic system, which would involve substantial financial expenditures, meaning lots of work, busting off the hook work, potential for tourism, merging. Okay, so that's that one. So let's get rid of that one, and let's see what the next one says. I'll go back to share screen. Okay, where is it? Yep, this is it. Okay, let me see if I've got you on full screen here. Yep, still have you on full screen. It says the results of the question of how Adding Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan joining the U.S. would affect inflation. And this is very interesting. The annexation of British Columbia and Saskatchewan to Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan into the United States would likely have a complex and potentially mixed effects on the U.S. inflation, depending on the specific details of the transition and subsequent policies. While some economics believe it would lead to lower inflation, other factors would contribute to increased prices. Increased supplies of goods and services, greater economic scale, impact to the United States. In addition to Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan, could potentially affect existing states depending on the resources industries, job markets, and other economic factors that are affected by this change. Let's see. Overall, it is difficult to definitively predict the overall impact on inflation without details, analysis, and specific income policies, economic policies, and regulations. The effect of annexation on inflation would depend on how these factors interact and could vary across different sectors. And I have one more to talk about here. Let me go to share screen again. And we are at, I asked generally, an increase, my question was, does increase in GDP affect inflation? So generally, an increase in gross domestic product does not automatically lower inflation, but it can contribute to a more complex relationship. While the GDP growth can indicate a healthy economy with increased demand, it can also lead to higher inflation if not managed properly. Conversely, some economists argue that certain types of GDP growth, particularly those driven by increased supply, like technological advancements, can actually lower inflation. And I've told you guys for a long time, technology is coming. They're fixing to release a whole bunch of new technologies on us. So this here in parentheses where it says like technological advancements can actually lower inflation. Those technological advancements will lower inflation from my perspective. And that's all I got to say about that. So basically, by adding 3 provinces of Canada to America, if properly managed, and we have a growth of technological and innovative products coming from America and be made in America, we could turn around and have the lowest inflation because of that move. And I don't think there's idiots in office right now, although a lot of people would disagree. You don't actually become a president unless someone smart is in your cabinet. And so there you go. I just wanted to keep this short and put this a little bit out there. Thank you guys for showing up, and I will talk to you on the next one.